We do not praise marriages. Sorry, not sorry.
The profoundly ignorant vitriol that you just heard vomited forth was from one Deven Rogers. Deven is a hate pastor with the new IFB-affiliated Stronghold Baptist Church in Norcross, Georgia. New IFB churches have become infamous for their pro-violent and anti-LGBTQ rhetoric. Despite this, I find it rather intriguing that Deven would kick off his hate sermon by quoting a catchphrase made famous by a pansexual music artist who identifies as queer.
Not doing it. You know, the Bible teaches, and I'm definitely not congratulating when they get adoption, for kids. That's wicked as hell.
So it would appear that Deven's God, and apparently by extension Deven himself, are not quite up on the statistics, are they? Seeing as how they bear out that children raised in a family do consistently better than children raised solely in the system, regardless of the family's orientation. And seeing as how children raised in stability have greater chances at becoming highly productive and contributing members of society, thereby improving the society for other people, then either the Christian God just hates an inclusive society where children are cared for, or Deven is just broadcasting his own hate and scapegoating his God to avoid coming off like a psychopathic homophobe.
I mean, the curse of God, the wrath of God is on this nation.
I would ask exactly how Deven demarcates what is and is not the wrath of God when it comes to specific events that occur in this country. Because if he can't back it up with any evidence, then he's just using fear to manipulate his congregation.
When that's happening, for sure. I mean, the wrath of God is on this nation for them existing in this nation.
There's that claim again, and Deven seems to forget that members of the LGBTQ community exist worldwide. Is the wrath of God on every nation in the world? Because that's not really what we see. There are a number of countries that are not only inclusive to LGBTQ, but are also atheistic, and their happiness indexes and success indexes are a lot higher than ours here in the United States. I don't know, maybe God's wrath works via time zone.
Let alone them having the children their access and offending these little ones. It'd be better for a millstone to be cast about their neck and for them to be drowned in the sea.
And here he is invoking Matthew 18:6 in an attempt to imply that LGBTQ couples who have or adopt children are teaching them to live in sin. But there is no evidence that children raised by LGBTQ couples, adopted or otherwise, have a higher chance of being gay, and that's because being gay, bi, or trans is not a choice. What the evidence does show is that children raised by LGBTQ couples, adopted or otherwise, are more understanding, inclusive, and compassionate not only towards the LGBTQ community, but towards minority groups in general, which frankly is something I think this nation could use quite a bit more of.
That's what I hope they all do. Kill themselves.
Feigning offense is, of course, one way to tell on yourself, Deven. You know full well what you're saying is reprehensible. You know full well the response that you'll get from most of the people who see this, because that's what you're going for with this act. You're going for the spectacle, and that is precisely what betrays your motives. The truth doesn't need to be made a spectacle of, because the truth will always be the truth, regardless of pomp or circumstance. But to really sell a lie, grandiosity often helps. Just look at the actions of any genocidal dictator in history.
I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to kill them. The government should. We're going to read that in a minute. The government should kill them. The government should convict them of the crime of sodomy and put them to death.
Well, it's nice to know that Deven draws the line at homicidal violence somewhere. He won't do it, but he sure wants the government to.
And then line them up and shoot them in the back of the head, stone them with stones with a little explosion behind it. And you can have a couple of, have multiple stones going at them.
So basically just concentration camp executions for every member of the LGBTQ community. And seeing as how gay people can no more change their orientation than hetero people can, what's the solution there, Deven? I'm willing to bet that this hateful coward hasn't thought too hard about how dangerously close his rhetoric edges towards genetic discrimination and eugenics. Which is odd because it's something the new IFB often rails against when they're preaching against what they call the evils of atheism.
That have been melted down into a bullet, a projectile, all right?
Stones melted into bullets. I guess metallurgy wasn't one of Deven's strong subjects.
I'm not going to do it.
Well, he won't, because he's a cowardly bitch who would shake like a dog passing peach seeds if he even found himself sitting across from a member of the LGBTQ community. But he'll sure call for others to do it. Notice how he hasn't once advocated for his congregation not to do this kind of thing.
But if the government does it, hey, that's something to praise.
Amen.
Yeah, I'm gonna side with the vast majority of the country and say probably not, seeing as how when governments engage in campaigns of genocide, things historically don't end well for them.
That's something to give our consent to. Because why? Because it's biblical, that's why. Because it's right.
And Deven demonstrates his profound ignorance once again. As much as he hates it, this is not a Christian country, and it wasn't founded on Christian values. It was founded on values that Christianity found valuable to supporting their own agenda. And for all their hemming and hawing, Christians don't corner the market on morality as much as they'd like to think they do. They just want credit for something that our species figured out long before their kooky death cult ideas were hoisted up onto a cross. This is a secular nation that respects and allows all religions equal freedom to worship and believe as they see fit, even total douchebags like Deven Rogers and the new IFB. But so long as the First and 14th Amendments remain a part of our Constitution, people like him will still flail and flounder, but they'll never get a chance to destroy our secular society in the name of their bloodthirsty asshole God. Be safe, be excellent to each other. We'll see you next time.